There was this girl called Jamie who was giving a present to her teacher, Cohen, cause Cohen was leaving the school. Cohen told Jamie that she was going to do great in the future grades since her marks were awesome. She even said that if Jamie kept working hard like that, she could get into any college she wanted. Jamie asked Cohen about the new teacher Matson, who would be replacing her. Cohen said she heard Matson was really good and believed Jamie would like her. A few hours later, when Jamie was about to send her college application, she was talking to her dad. Turns out, Jamie's family was having money problems. Her dad didn't have a job, and they had to borrow money from Jamie's college funds to pay for the house, cause the bank was threatening to take it away. Jamie got annoyed at her parents and left home to go to her boyfriend Danny's place. At Danny's place, Jamie and Danny were kissing, and suddenly Danny's mom caught them on the bed. So, Jamie decided to leave. When she left, Danny's mom talked to him and asked him to cool things off with Jamie. Danny got mad at his mom because it turned out that Danny's dad was the one who fired Jamie's dad. Plus, Danny's parents wanted him to go to Stanford, so she needed Danny to study hard. The next day at school, Matson started her class and introduced herself to the students. She gave them an exam on her first day and said she was just following Cohen's curriculum. After class, Matson approached Danny and asked about his grade and how he was doing. She said he needed to maintain his grade to stay on the baseball team. Danny asked Matson if she could meet with him after school to talk about his grades, and Matson agreed. After school, they talked, and Matson asked Danny if he had a girlfriend. Danny immediately said he did and praised his girlfriend. Matson started liking Danny, even though he already had a girlfriend. She also offered to help him with his paper. Before Danny left, Matson told him she had free time after school on Thursday and could help him with his midterms coming up. But Danny declined cause that weekend was the first anniversary of him and Jamie, and he wanted to spend time with his girlfriend. Matson then asked for Danny's number so she could help him with his paper. On the other side, Jamie was dealing with her dad, who was fighting with Phil. She managed to separate them and took her dad home. The next day, Jamie got a C on her paper. She asked Matson why she got a C and wanted to make it up since she really needed a good grade to get a scholarship to the university she wanted. Matson gave her another paper to do by tomorrow so she could fix her score. Jamie looked anxious, and Matson asked her what was wrong and what was more important to her. Jamie agreed to do the paper because she thought college was more important than her relationship with Danny. Later, Jamie met with Danny and told him she couldn't go out because she had to do her paper. Danny got annoyed and said grades weren't that important. Jamie snapped back and brought up her family's money situation. Unlike Danny, whose parents had money for him to pursue his master's degree, Jamie's family was struggling. Danny felt like Jamie was blaming his dad again for firing her dad. He then gave Jamie their anniversary gift and left her alone. The next day, Danny's baseball team was losing, which ruined his day. He couldn't even look forward to his anniversary with Jamie to cheer him up because she had to redo her paper to get good grades. Meanwhile, Jamie's dad was giving up on looking for another job because he always got excuses like, "You're too old or too qualified," even though he had 18 years of engineering experience. On the other hand, Matson and Danny went to a bar and drank some beers. At first, Danny wasn't sure about drinking with his teacher, but Matson assured him it was just one beer, and she wouldn't tell anyone. They mostly talked about Danny and Jamie's relationship. Meanwhile, Jamie decided to call her friend Heather to ask what Danny was doing because she felt bad about canceling their anniversary plans. Heather said Danny was supposed to go to Trent's place. But when Heather asked Trent, it turned out Danny didn't show up. Back with Danny and Matson. Matson gave him her address just in case he needed extra tutoring. At school, Jamie asked Danny where he was the night before, and Danny said he went to Trent's place. Suddenly, Danny and Jamie were invited to a party for the weekend, and they both accepted. That weekend, Jamie met Danny at the party. She approached him and apologized for ruining their anniversary. She said she wanted to make up for it. But when Danny wanted to take their relationship further, Jamie stopped him. Annoyed, Danny left her. Outside the party, Danny got a text from Madsen. She asked if he knew anything about cars because she was having car troubles. Danny said yes and went to Madsen's place to help fix her car. But before he arrived, Madsen tried to mess up the car's engine to make it look like there was a problem. A little later, Danny showed up and immediately checked her car. He saw the issue was the negative battery terminal. Danny's hands got dirty from checking the engine. So Madsen offered him to come inside and clean up. Madsen kept flirting with him inside the house, and Danny finally couldn't resist her, so he kissed her. At first, Danny hesitated, but Madsen kept telling him it was okay, and that she wouldn't tell anyone. A few hours later, Danny got home and found Jamie waiting for him. Jamie asked where he'd been and sensed something was off. She was sure Danny was with another girl and asked who it was. Danny kept making excuses and said it was no one. Jamie raised her voice when Danny didn't answer, and his mom came out. She told Danny to come inside and call a cab for Jamie since it was late. But Jamie decided to drive her own car, instead of calling a cab, because she couldn't stand being there anymore. When Jamie got home, her mom was calling Danny's mom to ask about her. Her mom asked where she'd been and if she'd been drinking. Jamie said she only had one drink, but her mom kept scolding her for driving after drinking. Jamie snapped back at her mom and went to her room. The next day in class, Jamie got another C on her second paper. She couldn't believe she got the same score as her first paper. She felt like Madsen had it out for her even though she did what Madsen asked. Jamie's friend advised her to try talking to Madsen again about the grade. After class, Jamie saw Madsen and Danny talking intimately. Danny told Madsen his baseball coach threatened to kick him off the team, and Madsen assured him that if he got an A, it'd be enough to keep him on the team. To do that, she offered to see him after school to help with his grades. Danny also told her about his parents expecting him to get into a good college like Stanford. Madsen related to his problem and calmed him down. Plus, Danny asked about Madsen's parents, and she said she never knew them, but had a foster mom who killed herself with an insulin overdose. Later, Jamie met with Danny. She told him Miss Madsen was being extra hard on her by giving her lousy grades when she knew the work was good. Danny asked why Madsen would do that, but Jamie just gave him an annoyed look. When Jamie wanted to ask something, Danny left because he had to run errands for his mom. A little while later, Danny went to Madsen's place and asked if she was failing Jamie on purpose. Madsen asked what Jamie had been telling him, and Danny said nothing. Madsen then assured him Jamie was just being paranoid. They decided to kiss again, and when Danny turned over, he saw Jamie staring at them outside the house. Jamie immediately left when Danny saw her. Meanwhile, Madsen tried to stop Danny from running after Jamie but failed. Outside Madsen's house, Danny managed to catch up with Jamie. Jamie tried to hold back her tears and couldn't believe her boyfriend was cheating with their teacher. Danny kept making excuses, but Jamie didn't believe him. Danny tried to calm her down and said he'd take care of it. Jamie and Danny then went to Jamie's house. Jamie's mom asked what happened between them, but Jamie just said everything was fine sarcastically. Her mom told Jamie she was there if she needed to talk. On the other hand, Madsen was fighting with a voice in her head telling her who would want an ugly, sad freak like her. Madsen was going crazy because of that voice, so the next morning, she decided to approach Jamie. She told Jamie she made a mistake by giving her second paper a C and gave her an A instead. Jamie sarcastically replied that Madsen admitting her fault wouldn't fix the problem with her, Madsen and Danny. A few hours later, Madsen told the headmaster about Jamie's behavior becoming very belligerent. The headmaster offered to talk to Jamie, but Madsen assured her she had it under control to get a compliment from her. Meanwhile, in the parking lot, Danny approached Jamie to ask how she was doing. Jamie told Danny that Madsen gave her an A and failed her on purpose. Danny said he'd end his relationship with Madsen that night. Jamie replied that after he ended it with Matson, he could come over to her house to talk about their relationship. Later, Danny asked Matson to meet him at the park. Getting his text, Matson felt happy about it. And when she looked in the mirror, she saw a woman telling her no one would want her. Matson ignored her and went to the park. At the park, Jamie started flirting with Danny. However, Danny kept a straight face and told her he didn't like how Matson had been treating Jamie. Matson kept trying to make Danny stay, but she failed. Danny then left her alone in the park. While crying, Matson got in her car and hit Danny with it. Panicked, Matson hid Danny's body and wiped all his blood off her car. Afterwards, Matson went to Jamie's house and quietly put Danny's blood on Jamie's car without her knowing. Meanwhile, Jamie went outside because she thought she heard something, but her dad assured her no one was out there, so they failed to catch Matson faking evidence. The next day, Matson went to an auto repair shop to clean the blood from her car. The repairman said he could repair it fast if she paid him more. Matson agreed. The following day, the police were talking about the case of a teenager found dead in the park. At Jamie's house, she tried reaching Danny multiple times, but failed until her mom told her the police called. They said they found a body belonging to Danny and wanted Jamie and her mom to go to the station. There, they met Danny's parents, who blamed Jamie for what happened to their son. They almost got into a fight, but the police calmed them down. The police interviewed Jamie, asking if she talked to Danny during the incident. Jamie said Danny told her he was going to her house after breaking up with his girlfriend Matson. Surprised, the police asked Jamie for proof their teacher was in a relationship with her student Danny. Later, the police interviewed Matson at her house. She denied having a special relationship with Danny and said it was all just Jamie's accusation because her behavior changed that week. Matson told the police she was at the movies when the incident happened. The next day, the police searched Jamie's house and found blood on her front bumper. Surprised, Jamie didn't know how to react, and the police arrested her for Danny's murder. Meanwhile, Jamie's parents tried calming her, saying she'd be out soon. While Jamie was in jail, her mom followed Matson because she was acting suspicious. What Jamie's parents said came true, and Jamie was released. She believed Matson killed Danny, so she planned to trap Matson into confessing. One night, Jamie snuck to Matson's house. When Jamie almost succeeded in recording Matson's confession, Matson found out and tried to kill her. Luckily, the police came just in time and arrested Matson. The police then found out this wasn't the first time Matson was involved in a student affair. She'd covered it up before moving to LA. The next morning, Jamie got a letter from her desired university, Whitendale, saying she got in. The movie ended with a lesson not to fall for temptation easily because it can lead to deadly consequences instead of just temporary pleasure. Thanks for watching. See you next time.